I ran out of cold brew, and I'm a little bit too, well, I wouldn't say lazy, but this light is weird. I wouldn't say I'm too lazy to make more, but more that it takes 8 to 10 hours, sometimes 12, to make it. And, well, I want to see if there's another way. I've got, if I can reach them, some, oop. Some mason jars, and I was thinking that maybe if I put the coffee grounds in here and just, well, I don't have a paint shaker, but basically shake it up for a long time. We'll see if it makes coffee. I don't know how it'll work. I've been screwing around with trying different ways of making cold brew. Like, for example, when I put the coffee in the hopper, just to try and get a slightly different flavor, I will add hot water. Well, not hot water, but slightly warm water from the tap. And I've noticed it changes the flavor a little bit. So, I don't know. I might try it with cold water first just to see what it's like. But we need to use, can't believe I still have this. This is the last of that 5-pound bag. I've had this forever now. By forever, I mean like 3 months. But let's get this ground up. And the plan is, we're going to grind it, put it in the canning jar, then shake it up, then we're going to run it through this as a filter to get all the grinds back out, because obviously coffee grinds will be mixed with the water. Whatever, I'm just gonna push this button. Now, just so I know roughly how much, wait, Alexa, how many cups is an average canning jar?
Sorry, I don't know that one.
Hey Google, how big is an average mason jar?
According to Wikipedia, in the United States, standard-sized mason jars are made of soda-lined glass and come in 2 sizes: regular mouth, 2 cube, 8 in inner and 2 cube, 4 in outer diameter, and wide mouth, 3 in inner and 3 cube, 8 in outer diameter versions. To read more, look for the link in your Google Home app.
I think that means this holds 4 cups. Anyways, let's measure. What do you know? It's about right. I'm not going to fill it up all the way though, because I need to leave room for the grinds. This coffee grinder always makes such a mess. I think the seal on it is broken or something. I don't know exactly, but yeah, let's put some of this in here. Anyways, I wanted to put most of this in here. I just couldn't figure out a way to do it without making a huge mess. But this little purple spoon is way too small. Okay. Now, by the way, screwing around with that hand bike, I may be covered in bruises. Look at that. I have more other places as well, but that was not the best idea the other night. I guess now we'll throw the lid on and shake it up. Make sure it's sealed. Light does not pass through it. This is a very bright light, and oh, weird, look at this side. Looks like, I don't know what that looks like. Something. Huh. Well, anyways, I'm gonna keep shaking this intermittently for the next 5 minutes or something. I mean, I don't know how to exactly quantify when it's done. I suppose I'll just shake it for a while, then I'll set it down and see if it settles out. I know when this cold brew is ready to go based on how much light goes through it. I'm working on yet another automatic cold brew machine, and it uses a photo sensor to actually detect when the coffee's done. But anyways, clean this stuff up. I'll be back in a few minutes. Well, I think we're good. Except for all these coffee grounds everywhere. I think we're good enough to test this. Now, there is only one issue. I found in the past when I'm pouring water with coffee grounds in it, there's always a lot of associated splashing and mess making. So getting this into here, I mean, I want to get all the coffee grounds transferred over. Ooh, I just hatched a scheme. Watch this. Let's see if it works. If it doesn't, I won't be getting my cleaning deposit back on this place, that's for sure. But let's see here. It smells like coffee, but it doesn't smell like cold brew. Okay, we're gonna take this, go like that, and then we're gonna do one of these. Haha. Now, well, the coffee grounds are still at the top. Dang it. So when I was shaking this stuff, was it stuck in the bottom of the jar? I'm not throwing away these grinds though, because I know they haven't soaked, which means they are still good to use for coffee later, assuming that this fails. Let's see what color comes out of here. No, that's definitely not very good. Well, I guess I'm not getting any of this back into the jar at this point. Okay, so short answer, you can put coffee grounds in a mason jar and shake it up, but it's just gonna taste like cold garbage. Okay, so we're back out here again, and I brought a friend just to show off this knot ramp. So from here, if you're cruising along,
you don't see it.
I mean, from like right here, like if you look real close,
you can see it. You can see there's the shadows.
Yeah, with the shadows now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, looks like a ramp that just goes straight down.
And the sun gets a little bit further overhead, and those shadows aren't on it.
It's all looks like a ramp. Man, that's weird.
But it's a super weird design choice. Like, I don't get it. What I was trying to figure out is what all these marks are on the wall. I don't know if that's BMX riders or what is causing that.
It looks like neoprene, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like a plastic thing that's on there.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if it was BMX, I mean, maybe if you're coming across here, you'd do a tail whip and like hit your back tire up there or something, but I don't know. I'm just amazed that no one saw it happen. Like, nobody saw it happen when I was here. Like, this area is all crowded, and there was no one inside the building. But then when I'm sitting there, all these people start coming by, and I just sort of played it off. I got out my phone, and I was messing around with it.
Oh, really?
Because I didn't want to look like I needed help. Just a random guy in a wheelchair sitting on the steps. But
firemen were cool though, right?
Yeah, no, they're great. There's my faint skid mark right there. Yeah, good stuff. See this, the very
Yeah,
faint black one right there.
Because you kind of went sideways a little bit, didn't you?
Well, so I was,
like you went-
yeah, so I was coming down here, and then I tried to skid, and you can see the skid mark stops right
Why
there.
don't you tell me and I'll hold your camera?
Yeah.
You want to film it?
Oh, sure. So I'm coming down here, and I realized, I think back there something was wrong, so I pulled backwards on the joystick, skid mark's here, and then I realized I don't have enough stopping power here, I'm gonna go over the edge. So I let go of the joystick, I sort of went over here, and I tried to like, sort of brace myself on this wall, but then as soon as I reached toward it, I realized I was gonna turn, and I didn't wanna go off at an angle, that's even worse. So I grabbed the joystick again and straightened out, and then I would have stopped with my tires just off the edge. So that's when I realized, because I have suspension forks here on the front, so I just went ahead and pushed forward and went down the rest of the way since there was clearance. Because with these suspension forks, I didn't want them to compress, and I didn't know how tall it was. Like, now that I'm looking at it, like, I could drive down this if I wanted to, but I thought it was a little bit deeper, and I just wasn't sure. I was, like, reacting suddenly, so I didn't want to tip forward. But my foot plates didn't hit the ground, and I didn't scratch anything on the chair. So, I mean, it worked out being okay. If there was... Here, I'll grab that bag. If there was only one more step going down, I probably just would have driven down it. But since there was several more, yeah.
Too risky.
Not so much. I didn't want to do that 4 more times, so. Anyways, in-depth review of that thing. I might have to get my, I've got one of those construction marker things. I used to mark sidewalks and stuff. I'm tempted to just come down here and spray it.
Spray the lanes there?
I don't know. I mean, I guess I could call the building and talk to them.
Shit. Because somebody's got to do the same thing.
Yeah. And then over here.
Like me.
Yeah. And then over here, I mean, you can, there's only 3 here, but I mean, the bushes are kind of overgrown and stuff, but I don't know. The sidewalk, I guess, kind of turns, and then the ramp sort of goes down this way, but I don't know. It's not super obvious, but we should go over here to the train before it comes. Okay, so life hack if you live in Portland and ride the streetcar, a lot of times when the trains come, you have no idea where on the stop that the ramp is going to deploy. But for the streetcar specifically, if you notice, they have this little bumpy texture, but there's a part that will always have a clear section right here. You can see there's no bumps. And in this case, there's random dots of spray paint. But the lift will always deploy right here because the bumps actually interfere with the ramp. So if you're trying to figure out where the door is going to be, just look for the bulb patch. I'll probably play this part of the video backwards so it looks like it's deploying. Seems to be some sort of waterfall. Oh, mini golf. How tranquil. This next part, I didn't edit much out of it just because it was really hot outside and my brain was kind of fried. And when I was going through this editing things, I thought it was kind of funny watching me try to grasp for words and being super scatterbrained. So if it seems like I don't know what's going on, probably because I don't, but still kind of funny. And one other quick update. I got a new MacBook Pro. New meaning from 2014. Sorry we're not turning off the air conditioner today just to film. It is 97 degrees out there. And if I turn this thing off even for 30 seconds, the heat will spike enough in here and it'll fall behind and then it'll be hot and stupid. So yeah, I had mentioned in a previous video that I got a new laptop. So this is the MacBook Air that I rebuilt a number of months back. As you remember, it's got this hole in the frame and I had to replace the bottom cover and the motherboard and a bunch of other stuff on it. But this is what I've been using for my video editing. So you can see, pretty small, portable form factor. And the reason I switched over that is because it has an LED backlight, which, well, the iMac, this is the OG monster here that I have been using pretty much since I think the third vlog I've ever made to edit all my videos. That thing is a beast. It's got all the specs you would need ever to do any sort of video editing, especially in 1080p. But it has a cold cathode tube backlight, which is code for fluorescent. Now me, I'm very sensitive to fluorescent light and things that flicker, and I do a lot of staring at that thing. I originally got this to be able to do mobile portable editing if I'm traveling, but I quickly found out that I can stare at this thing for hours and not have the eye fatigue that I get from the old retina scalder over there. Okay, so we've set all that up now. As you can see, there's a bit of a difference in thickness between the two. This one has an i7 processor with 8 gigs of RAM. This one has an i5 processor, also with 8 gigs of RAM. But I was having issues with this one thermal throttling. When I'm exporting videos on this, it runs about 96, 97 degrees centigrade, and that is cooking. This one, even though it has an i5 processor, it has much better thermals. And there's a big channel here so the air can get out, and it's more suited to this type of work. So even though this one's slower, it can export videos faster than this one. These are basically both the same year range. The only difference is the processor. But yeah, I came across this one. When it's exporting videos, it'll run, I don't know, 72, 74 degrees, something like that, depending on the fan profile, so that's perfect. If you run them that hot for too long, the board and the processor and everything will not last nearly as long, so much happier to have this one now. Anyways, this computer had a 256 gig solid state drive in it, and I was like, oh, I'm going to swap it over to this one because this one is a smaller one. Well, there's this little setting called wait for network access, and it was turned on. Even though the computer was off, it was still on. And when I unplugged that solid state drive, it zapped it because it was turned on, losing a bunch of data. So both of these now only have 128 gig solid state drives, which when you're video editing is like, I'll be upgrading that very soon. But anyways, I had to buy some data recovery software, and I was able to get about 85% of my video data back off of this. Now, normally the way my workflow is, everything's backed up and spread across multiple machines because I'm not flexing, I'm just a geek, and I have a lot of cheap computer equipment. Like, I'm not, I'm not trying to like show off here. It's just, this is just how my workflow happens to be. All this gear I got for stupid cheap. So the Mac Pro is where I plug in the cameras, and that has a big file storage network drive attached to it. And then I pull the footage over to the laptop I'm working on, and then I upload it from this other machine back here. So all I'm trying to say is at any given point, most of my data is on at least 3 machines, or at least 2. I was trying to save space on this one, and I had copied some of the files off. I deleted a bunch of things, so long story short, there was a bunch of data on here that was not backed up elsewhere. I got a lot of it back, but like I said in that, okay, my arm, this is a sign that I should shut up. The video that I did about making the MacBooks, or replacing the MacBooks a while back, according to the analytics, nobody liked it. Or at least it didn't have the same viewership that other videos do. Obviously this is not a computer channel. Well, directly, I don't know. Anyways, lost most of the data. Had to spend like, I think it was 80 something dollars on an app, I can't remember, for some software. Got most of it back. And did I scratch this camera lens? Ugh. Okay, I just had a snot rocket on it. Let me sum all this up. If you're gonna do video editing of any kind, don't use a MacBook Air. Get a MacBook Pro, even if it's an older one. And the ideal, like perfect range for either a MacBook Air or a MacBook Pro is 2013 to 2014. I would buy one of these over anything that's currently made. These two machines are objectively better than what Apple is currently selling right now. There's actually a video from Louis Rossmann I'm going to link down below explaining why, but these are the two machines that you want. You can get parts to repair them and they don't have the keyboard issues. There's actually ports on them. Like, look, I can actually put an SD card into the computer. How insane is that? I mean, this one too. Anyways, I'll link to that video. It's an interesting watch. Louis Rossmann is not like a family-friendly channel. He's a brash New Yorker that speaks his mind, so be prepared for language if you do watch the video, but it is very interesting. Okay, I'm gonna finish drinking my coffee, and then I think I'm gonna hop in the Bounder, and I'm gonna go tell you guys a story somewhere that has to do with sheetrock. So just kind of startled myself. I'm pulling up this big hill and all of a sudden I hear this weird sound. That's when I remembered, oh yeah, I installed cooling fans on this thing. They kicked on when it gets above 102 degrees, at least the surface temperature of the main controller. Oh, so let me show you what I did here with the Bounder. I was noticing when the weather's been hotter now, it's been regularly 97 degrees or more outside, this thing seemed to slow down a little bit. And the main controller, here, let me lift this thing up so I can show you. The main controller is right here under this little, like, pleather cover thing. And I mean, there is an air gap underneath it, but I was noticing as the thing was slowing down in this hotter weather, this thing was very hot to the touch. So what I did was installed a thermocouple and a cooling fan. And I've got a manual override here so I can turn it on. It wound up being a little bit louder than I thought, but it definitely moves a good amount of air. And it comes on automatically when the surface temperature of that thing gets up to around 102 degrees Fahrenheit. Just kind of testing it right now. I think what I'm going to do is they sell these old school hard drive coolers with an aluminum plate and a couple of fans on the end of them. They're designed to mount your hard drive to and then put it in your computer. And the fans don't make as much noise. But having a big aluminum heatsink I think should help. So I think I'm going to find one of those on eBay or wherever and install that underneath here. There should be a way to mount it up and make it nice. But I think in this hotter weather, keeping that controller cooler, well, actually, it has been helping. The thing hasn't been slowing down like it was previously. But yeah, anyways, this chair is still working out really well. I've put so many miles on this thing. I think, like the rest of anything else, though, I'm only going to get maybe 3 months at the most out of these tires. I mean, they're wearing pretty well, but I can tell they're not going to last more than another month and a half or so. But they're like $31 a pair, so I mean, that's not too bad. I can swap them out every 90 days. Yeah, anywho, let me lower this thing back down here. And I'm going to take it over there and plug it into the charger so I can head back out here in a little while. Right now, I need to sit in front of the computer and take care of some thingies. Made it back. I had to get out of the building for a little while. Not that, like, I like to dwell on drama or whatever, but wee short story. Let me grab the other camera. Hey, kind of a mess in here. I got some glassware from Goodwill. I'm meaning to wash it, but some of these little pans with metal lids so I can cook eggs in the microwave. Where's the remote? Oh, that thing actually says it's 69 in here. Perfect. Here, remote. I guess I could just reach over here and push the button. So, living in this new place, brand new building. Some people I know have been quick to point out that I seem to have issues with people, and they liken to the fact that it's probably my fault. I'm not sure about all that, but people that live above me. Remember before I moved 2 times ago, and there was people upstairs and they were making an ungodly amount of noise? Well, I won't say we're at the ungodly level of noise here, but there's definitely been issues with the people above me not being quiet. Now, I understand in apartments you're going to hear people, and I'm not going to dwell on this, just real quick. But I'll just say last night I happened to find out at about 11:45 p.m., which is about the time most days that they make a ton of noise. But I found out last night they were up there trying to get their steps in for the day, and they were jogging in place, or, you know, doing the exaggerated jogging and slowly moving up and down the hallway, which is roughly right along here. Now, I have complained about noise up there in the past. It's been an ongoing issue for the last like 3 months or so. And right after I first complained about it, it got a lot worse. Well, I went up there and actually talked to them, and I introduced myself and said, hey, you know, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if you're aware, sound transmits through pretty well. I don't care about hearing the garbage disposal or the shower or whatever else. Can you hear that? But after that, it seemed to quit, and it's been fine for about a month. But for whatever reason, recently, the last week or so, the stomping around has gotten much worse again. So I went ahead and fired off an email to the office and said, hey, I had an issue tonight. I tried to talk to them. They didn't answer the door, blah, blah, blah. Well, they went and talked to the office, and they said, oh, yeah, we were trying to get our steps in for the day. And they were jogging in place above me. And they also said, yeah, we really feel like we've been walking on eggshells because, you know, we don't want to disturb the guy below us, and we take off our shoes when we come in. We've put, you know, the little pads underneath all our furniture so when we move it around it doesn't make any noise, and, you know, this and that and the other. But then at the same time they say, oh yeah, we're trying to get our steps in for the day. And that's the only time it's ever happened. But yeah, we were definitely up there jogging in place at 11:45 p.m. The catch is, this building is owned by a group of people, and some of them may live in close proximity, so it makes the situation a little bit more tricky. But it also makes it a little more serious, because if you own a building and you're basically making it so your residents can't sleep, and that's sort of a weird thing. But we'll see how it goes. Needless to say, I just wanted to get out today, and I actually didn't sleep at all last night. It's been one of the few times that I didn't even sleep, like, I didn't even fall asleep. More motivation, I guess, to get a house. The market is still pretty insane, so trying to find one is tricky. I'm expanding my search down further south, and out west a little ways as well. But I seem to attract people that cause problems. I don't know what the gain is, or why I'm not going to dwell on it. I'm just saying it's affecting my sleep. Whatever's going on up there needs to stop. And, you know, when I spoke to them in person, oh, we're never up past 10 p.m. But such is life in apartments, I guess.